school swipe whichever way, right? Like the old school way.
Yeah. And then but that's when I walked up to her and started talking to her a little bit, and I talked about, asked her about if she wanted a shot. I said, "Can you drink while you work?" And she was like, yeah, I could probably have a shot. So I asked her for something, whatever she wanted, and I thought it was gonna be something sweet. She was like, "No, again, settle on up. We're doing Jack Daniels." And I was like, there's it is right there, got to my heart.
The intersection of good drinks, good music, and good times. This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations.
Joining us here on Whiskey Weeks 2023 is we're officially now in the month. Now, last week's episode, I said was Whiskey Weeks, but it was National Bourbon Heritage Month. But we are here now, and joining us, his first full-length album, Product Of, is out now. Welcome in, Lewis Brice.
What's going on? What's going on? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm finally back home from a pretty busy summer. I actually home for more than a few days, rather.
That's good.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind being busy, because if I ain't busy, somebody else is. Got to get it while I can.
That is true. In this game, you can't be sitting still, I don't believe. Now, since this is Bar Conversations, I always like to ask if you got something good to drink, and I know you poured something right beforehand. So, what you got? What are you drinking tonight?
I got just plain old ice cold Coors Light. That's where I like to go to every once in a while.
I like it. I went with a little something stronger. It's a little Hemingway Rye whiskey, their signature edition that they just dropped. So, figured I'd spice it up a little bit tonight.
Yeah, man. I'm right in the middle of a move. We're about to move to our new house. We just signed on it, so it's been all my stuff's kind of packed up. Right.
I was gonna say, so obviously you enjoy a cold beer. Do you enjoy some whiskey or tequila? What's your go-to if it's not beer?
Well, see, I used to love Jack Daniels, and me and my wife, I think I loved her because of Jack Daniels. Whenever I first met her, I went to go buy her a shot or something. She was bartending at the time, and she was like, "I said, if you want something kind of sweet like a Royal Flush," she said, "No, honey, you better saddle up. We're doing whiskey." So she poured me a shot. Well, I knew she was one more or less, but no. But right these days, I'm more of a. I found that tequila kind of is a little smoother for me. When I drink enough whiskey, I like to say my redneck comes out, I guess. Whatever, my stumpter is like what I like to call it. So,
so you behave a little better on tequila.
I bet that is true. Yeah.
Now, with the tequila, are you drinking like Blancos? You going Reposado and Yeho? Where are you at on that realm?
My favorite is 1942. Don Julio 1942 is awesome. That's one of my favorites. But man, I like Casamigos, and I generally go for the Blanco just because it's a little cleaner for me. But I like Reposado because the Casamigos, it has that little vanilla kind of little flavor, kind of like the caramel. It's close. It's close, like 1942. But it's really.
I like it.
Yeah, man.
I like that because I had an extra Añejo the other day from, I think it was El Mejor or something like that, and it was aged in bourbon barrels for 39 months. It didn't really taste. It was like the weirdest blend of, like, you were like, this is wait, is this tequila or is this bourbon? Because at that point, it's older than some bourbons we're drinking.
Well, I like my tequila. Casa Azul is great. It's that little thing, a little bell on top of it. I've had those before.
See. Well, and you mentioned your wife. You're coming up on 1 year anniversary, so congrats on that. How's married life?
Oh man, it's been awesome. It's been really great. She is absolutely amazing. Dierks Brice, and so awesome. This summer, she knows what I do. Like during the summertime is when I'm pretty busy. I think I was home for like maybe 8, maybe 9 days since middle of June. And so, but she works, does real estate stuff. She never keeps herself busy. But, when a couple times this summer, I was gone for like 2.5, 3 weeks in like one stint. And so, that's a little long to be away from the wifey. But, she's been a trooper all summer. And I just kind of got over one of my, pretty much the last little hump. It's that to be super busy where I've just been wide open because I've been all over the place this summer. We done a whole lot of stuff. We started more or less in Nashville, and then I jumped on a few road shows with my brother. Went up to like Ohio, New York. We've been all over the place, and all the way from there to California, to Nashville, to Key West, all the way up to Jersey, to Detroit, Chicago, um, Ohio. I was trying to name all the places we've been this summer. South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia.
So just a couple places.
Just a few places.
Well, and I love the story you touched on, how you first met your wife. So it's true, you went up to the bar and she was bartending, right? And you asked her the shot, and she wanted Jack Daniels and told you to saddle up.
Oh yeah, that's exactly how I recall it. I think that's how she recalls it too. Yeah, I was at the time she was downtown working at Tin Roof down on Broadway, and so I was kind of going in there to see one of my buddies, Jeff Krantz, play, and my buddy Craig, and come walking up to the bar, and I was like, oh man, she's pretty good looking. What I didn't know at the time is, I guess her and the other bartender, as I walked in, she told me, she said, yeah, I went ahead and just called dibs on you just so you know. I was like, all right, cool deal. I didn't know.
So like the old school swipe whichever way, right? Like the old school way.
Yeah. And then but that's when I walked up to her and started talking to her a little bit, and I asked her about if she wanted a shot. I said, "Can you drink while you work?" And she was like, yeah, I could probably have a shot with you. So I asked her for something, whatever she wanted, and I thought it was gonna be something sweet. She was like, "No, yeah, settle on up. We're doing Jack Daniels." And I was like, there's it is right there. Got to my heart.
Well, it was true love, meant to be, because clearly you're together now. And obviously family's important to you, because I think you've got a few songs about them and even a few songs about her. How important is family to you?
Family's really important to me. I definitely don't take it for granted. I've been very blessed with a great family. Mom and daddy, they grew up. They definitely were big supporters of anything I've ever wanted to do. They're still together, still married, still alive, and so they're kicking right along, enjoying their retirement part of their life. And so I just know I'm very fortunate to have the type of family I grew up in. My brother, obviously, me and him been really close. I think there was like a point like around freshman year in high school is when they were really became like friends, more or less little brother, big brother thing. But
I understand that.
but yeah, it's great that I get to work with him all the time. We collaborate on my records and everything with that, and also we get to play shows on the road every once in a while. So and that's what I know. I've always grown up about it. I'm really proud about it. And also my wife, she makes it hard to sing a sad song. I actually wrote a song like that. It's on my record, and if you want to check it out. But yes, it's I'm very, very proud of how much she loves me and how much I love her. And so, I've just been very, very blessed about having a really good family. Always trying to surround myself with the right type of people and everything to, keep the dream alive.
Well, I was gonna say that's important, is being around the right people, and everyone probably knows your brother's somewhat talented musically, but they might not know that your mom and dad were pretty talented too, and you pretty much come from a musical family.
Absolutely. It's funny. My mom and my sisters pretty much taught my dad. My mom, her three oldest sisters, my Aunt Henrietta, Aunt Judy, and Aunt Lori, they went around. They always sang around at like different groups, gospel, like Southern gospel stuff, sang at churches as kids, and they were like super young. They were like 12, 13, 16, or something like that. And at that time, they actually came to Nashville and recorded a little 6-song record on vinyl. And they had a little picture called the Lewis Sisters. Because my mom's maiden name is my first name. I got a full family name. So we actually still have that record. It's pretty cool to see and all that. But we just grew up, Mama and all them singing and church and stuff like that. And then when they met my dad, taught my dad how to sing. My dad could sing the phone book. He literally could rattle walls while he's singing bass. So he's in a little Southern gospel quartet still. They go around and sing around South Carolina and stuff. But he can go from deep growly bass all the way to the falsetto like tenor, like a flip.
Well, and I mean, so was there any chance that you weren't going to go into music then? Like, I mean, was that like, would you get shunned if you didn't?
No, not really. Because I actually wanted to be a chiropractor before I wanted to come into music and everything like that. I've always loved music. And I got my first guitar like when I was like around 11 or so, and I wrote my first song when I first got in college or something like that, and then I wrote a couple of songs after that. But I've always played and stuff, but I was actually going to school to get my associates in science to go to chiropractic school down in Port Orange, Florida. And the year I finally got my 2-year degree, they changed the curriculum to where you had to go 4 years before you went to 3 more years. I was like, I'm gonna go be a kid for a couple of years, go hang out in Nashville with my brother. So that's when I came here, and I came to Nashville, Tennessee, from Charleston, South Carolina, and yeah, the day I landed, I think I pretty much got a job a couple of days later at a place called 12th and Porter bartending, and I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, I was already in a band. And so from there, and I was trying to mix in bartending with writing, for a long time, and then a couple of years got into it, and I was like, all right, it's coming to the point of where I need to figure out, what I really want to do. So I was like, I chose music, and I said, I figure if I can learn about, I'd played enough shows where I realized I can make enough money to survive, and live off of, and so. Yeah, between me learning a few songs and going to Key West a whole bunch, back and forth Key West, because I'd go down to Key West for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And I think one set I played 18 shows in 15 days straight. And there was like 4-hour shows. And so that was a week or two. And that was like during the middle of spring break or something like that while down there. So at Key West, it can be pretty fun. But yeah, I'd go down there, make a couple $1,000s, come back to Nashville, stay in town right. And then, go play some gigs outside of Key West as well. But yeah, eventually I got a little small pub deal, enough to help me out with some bills. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm going on my own and start playing some more shows. And yeah, and still do it. It's still always kind of been a little upward climb. And once we started putting out music, we were like, well, this makes sense. Let's keep it rolling.
Well, I was going to say, because people might see you now, you've got the album, you're able to do shows, but obviously that's not an easy life before that, though, traveling to Key West, going around, doing things like, that's when you kind of probably figured out that this is something that you love and want to see through.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I really do. Like, I haven't gotten tired of it. I've been doing it for quite some time, and I love it. I still love it just as much as I did the first day. And, and I've always seen growth in what I do. And so as long as I keep seeing growth in myself, but also musically, and also growth in my business, there's no reason to quit. I'm too deep into it now. And
you don't want to go back to school and get that degree?
No. And maybe later down the road if I wanted to have it. But I got so
that is true.
I did get my degree.
That is true. And obviously growing up around a family that probably loved gospel and all sorts of things, what music did you kind of gravitate toward as you were growing up?
We always had, my daddy always had like Gold City, Cathedrals, Gaithers, a lot of Southern Gospel quartet was always on the radio. And now my mama, she always had Linda Ronstadt in her car. And I think as a kid, I knew every word to every song on that one. It was Linda Ronstadt and Aaron Neville on them. So I learned later in life that Linda Ronstadt was such an icon of rock and roll. She was a big part in the Eagles, kind of getting together and getting their stuff like that. But and Aaron Neville on that end. But we're Alabama, and I got a little older, and I was able to have my little alarm clock. The little clocks that sound. Right, the alarm clock. Once I first got one of those as a older kid, I always had them. But that's the time when Garth Brooks was hit, Randy Travis, and that's where that does thing. My bigger older artists that I like that. Brooks Dunn come along, and then you got to that's kind of transition from there. When I lived in Charleston, South Carolina for like 5 years, the big scene there was like rock and roll and jam bands, and so that's whenever I like Aerosmith and Aerosmith and Red Hot Chili Peppers, stuff like that. So, and then I found one of the bands, this band called Fuel, and when I went and saw them play a show, and it's called the Plex. Well, it was a Plex. I think it's somewhere in North Charleston now. I went and saw them, and that show was absolutely amazing. When I got done with that, it was one point in the show, I was like, man, that right there is what I was. That's supposed to do that, and so. That band was a big influence on me. And I think I love rock and roll. 90s rock is great. Even in
there's nothing wrong with any of those bands you've been listing. So Good, good ones to go after.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty wide range of music, that I've always grown up loving. And you say I have my phase when you get your Tupac and your Biggie, and then your Eminem phase. Everybody had to go with that. Dr. Dre,
Hmm.
Jay-Z, all that stuff. That was under the Blue album was on that, right?
So when you hit a shuffle on iPod, it could have been anything. I'm dating myself too. It could have been anything.
Really, my computer screen when I have like my iTunes and stuff always flipping around. I mean, you see all kind of crazy stuff on here. Like I got a bunch. I'm just looking at it right now. You got my brother Ryan Hurd, Eric Church, Gabe Lee. I know him. And then got, what else we got on there? Oh, there's some Tupac right there, and there's my buddy Nick Norman. Got some Jared Neiman on there. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of like crazy albums. I think I got some Frank Sinatra right there. So.
See, well, I mean that's the influence of growing up around parents that love music and let you listen to a bunch of things, and then you find what you like. And obviously, you also grew up in South Carolina and Sumter. What was it like growing up there, and what impact did that have on you?
Oh man, that's really it's a small town, like definitely country. I grew up, we never, whenever we had our time to have fun, whenever we weren't during the middle of the summer, me and Lee, my brother, when we were old enough, when stay home by ourselves, we go walking in the woods. There was nothing but woods behind our house or cornfields, so we could literally just go grab our BB guns or pellet guns or whatever, and just go. Yeah, let's go walk through the woods for a couple hours, stuff like that. And I grew up. My buddy Jacob was one of my best friends. We grew up. His daddy had chicken houses, so we'd always, oh, cool. We're gonna be their kids to get up at 5:30 in the morning to help out and go take care of their chicken. When I say chicken, like thousands, 10,000s or 20,000 chickens, like that. So,
So not the backyard coop.
No, not the backyard. These are big old chicken houses. Yeah. I grew up hunting, fishing a whole bunch. That's what I loved to do on Saturday morning. Whenever Daddy would take us. So, small town, real close knit, and then we lived in Oswego, South Carolina. Was kind of like branched off of Sumter right there, but it was like back up into swamps and stuff like that. So, we had our field parties. That's where we went to go hang out because everybody had land, everybody had big fields. So we just go. That's where we would go during high school, and other than that, we go find out. And so the dirt roads, mud pits, and bonfires are a real thing in my life.
I was gonna say that's pretty cool because not everyone that's singing about that got to really live that.
I definitely lived every bit of it. That, and I think there was like a church like every half mile down the boulevard. So, definitely a lot of Southern Baptist church there. I just recently shot a video that we released for Product Of, and I actually I sat Sumter and showed all that. Like we did one scene in the church that I actually grew up in, Eastside Baptist, in there, and I think we did another scene out in Oswego, like down the road. Wanted to find a water tower out there. That's where I grew up, dog drive and like hunting deer, stuff like that. Yeah, I think we kind of a bunch of different places around Sumter, and I thought that it made it for me a lot more authentic, and I think it makes that's what I'm a product of growing up. But yeah, big fields, fishing, hunting, loving every day.
well, and you touched on it, like product of. If folks haven't heard of it, it's kind of the title track to the album, and it's you and your brother, but it's about how you grew up, where you grew up. How cool was it for you though to go back there and share that part of your life and share your hometown and places you had been?
It was really special to me, and also I was able to get my mom and dad in the video, and I kind of told them like super last minute. I said, "Hey, y'all, I'm coming to town tomorrow. I'm bringing a little camera crew. Do you guys mind being?" They were like, "Okay, cool." Because for me, I mean, writing that song was a product of we're a product of them, growing up and the way they raised us with this like a small town love. My dad was an electrician his whole life. He was a lineman for 20 years, and they dig ditches, running wire. And so when he started a side business in electricity, and that's whenever me and Lee would go help him. So I grew up digging ditches, and I was the small one. So all the dark places like the houses and in the attics, all the places where
you gotta go.
That's what I had. But we did all that, and like my mama, she did insurance for a while. She was a nurse, and then later now she's helped my daddy run the business. Make sure my daddy kept his head on straight. And
Someone's got to do that for us, right?
so yeah, it's just, and I was really happy to be able to bring them into that. And, yeah, it's for me, it makes it more, makes it real that when people act, people say, oh, he's got a backwards hat, flat bill on, he's all got dressy clothes, he's not country. I was like, I'm really country, I promise you.
I just clean up well.
Yeah, that's my best. I've always been the clean, nice and tidy. Really.
Well, and on that song too, your brother you have your brother on it. How cool was it to have him? And was it one of those things where it was trying to find the right moment to do something with him, and that just kind of came up and made sense?
Yep, exactly. That's you hit around the head. That song. So funny story. I'd already cut the song, mixed, mastered it with just my vocal on it beforehand, and I'd already shot the video without him in it. So I have a version of this song that was just me on it, and the video with just me in it. And so we were getting everything my timelines for release strategy and marketing and stuff like that. And so we had a phone call with him one day, and we're sitting there, and he out of nowhere says, "Well, I've been thinking about it. I mean, if there is a song for me to be on, I think this is the one." And I was like, "Oh, I mean, absolutely for me, because it's got to talk about mom and daddy. It's where we grew about us. I didn't write it, but I wish I would have been a part of it. It's something I would do." And he got out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, I leaned back, and my manager says, "Hey, did you know anything about that?" And I was like, "No, man, I had no clue." And so he kind of threw it us last minute. And this was like 2 months or a month before we were about to start releasing songs. And so I was like, all right, well, I can get down with it. Obviously, a great thing. And I was super, super proud when he said that. I was like, well, we got some work to do. But you know what? All the stars have lined up really well, because I was kind of wondering if I wanted to make product of the first release, actually. And so, because I wanted to build up to it. And so I think whenever you release a song strategy-wise for a full record, you get a couple songs you kind of previous before you have to release a full record. And so it worked out well. And then I had this song called "Thanks for the Heartbreak" I wrote with my buddy Adam Kyle Jacob. And so, Kyle passed away about a couple months before this, and I was like, well, it's special. I was very, very proud that I had a song written with him, and he was a close friend of family. And the way it kind of came up, I was like, man, I just feel like this song was the right one to put up, and then put out first. And then we ended up being, let's do that one first, and then do Product of second, kind of build up to the record. And it worked out well. And then just before we were about to do it, as soon as I made that decision, I got my dad, my brother and I, we have a deer camera, on his property. And this thing, out of nowhere, it pops up. Ooh, I see the picture. It's like I don't know how people think about cardinals, but I saw a big picture, a perfect picture of a cardinal. And I was like, wow. I said, I was like, man, I texted my brother and said, hey, dude, that's Kyle, isn't it? And he was like, absolutely. And so, saw people say cardinals, they some spirit, whatever. Souls back there, they're just thinking about you. But I was like, all right. So that gave me a lot of peace when we did that. But yeah, I was able to get the rest of the video shot. It all worked out great, all on perfect timing. So,
well, that's awesome, and it's cool that you were able to kind of get the first one out there to for a friend and someone that meant something to you, and then have product of as kind of the follow up. And how much do you get to bounce ideas off of and just kind of get advice from, and vice versa with your brother?
I tell you, it's crazy about we get to talk. Pretty much every time we do get to talk, which is not we get to talk every once in a while. I talk to him. I see him more on the road than I do at home, which is it's pretty interesting. But when I am out on the road, I get some good quality time with him. And generally, we always talk about our my business, what I have with him, and where we're going and everywhere to do it. So he's always giving me advice, and I just get to watch him. I've learned so much from him. Just the way he runs his business, the way he runs his crew, and the way his crew has been put together. Like he's got one of the best crews out there, and but he's surrounded himself again with a lot of great people that have his best interest in mind, and also he has his best interest in mind for everybody else around him, because he's just one of the hardest working, caring dudes out there. And but yeah, I definitely learned a lot from him, and it's pretty awesome to be able to have a first-hand experience right there, so close to it. So yeah, man, it's been a good thing.
Well, and then too, I know you love songwriting, and it's something that you enjoy a lot of. And did you co-write every song on the new album?
On the new album, yep, I was right on every song, and
And
I was looking for outside songs, outside cuts, but I just couldn't find anything to beat what I had.
well, I was gonna say, I mean, how often are you pitch things, and is it one of those things where just if it doesn't fit your voice and kind of who you are, you're like, I love it, but it's not me.
I've gotten pitched quite a few songs, and it's just like when I hear them, it's like there's been a couple that I've gravitated towards, and I was like, but even though I didn't write them, and actually, I have a song that I put out called "Call Me Yours." I didn't write it, but Rob Hatch and I think Vincent Minetti and I think somebody else, Adam James, I think wrote it, and but I had them out on a writers retreat for me, to kind of write songs for me. So somehow they pinned it right on the head, and it worked out great. That's the only song that I haven't been a writer on that I've released. And like I said, I've got some songs. It's like I really got to, for me, I got to really relate to it and kind of be able to put myself in it. Because I think the fans, or if anything I've ever been able to sing, I'm not very good at not telling the truth. So my expression is right here in front of you, and people can see it. I think.
They know what they're getting with you. Is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Right. Right.
And what is that writing process like for you? Is it coming up with ideas, experiences, things like that? How do you kind of, is it a way for you to get your thoughts down on paper? How does it work for you?
For me, I'm always listening for ideas. Honestly, when I'm out, I hear people talk, or I'm always kind of thinking, what's a different way I can twist something kind of cool to catch somebody's interest that I can put myself into. And a lot of anything I've ever put out, really put together, it's been pretty much I've had experience in it. That way I can completely relate to it. Like but the first time as a song on my record that I wrote, that's pretty much kind of a story how my wife and I met, and it ended up being our first dance song. So our first dance song. So it was after a bunch of first times, it ended up being really cool. Um, Again, like a song called "The Right Love" that's on the new record, or "Shadow." Those are both about my wife and stuff like that. So, but then I have another one there like it's called "I'm Seeing Summer," and it's not like necessarily I've never been. It's not. It is a summer song, but it's not about the season of summer. It's about a person named Summer, and and how that person, or somebody left you, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna go do my own thing too, and I found Summer. So, and the only way I can really relate to that is I had a girlfriend years ago, and I was in like middle school named Summer, but her name was Summer. So it's just some of those are kind of fun little songs. Like another one called like "Goodbye Beard" that's on the record. It's
I was gonna say that one. Someone actually had some bad experience with the ring, right?
Yeah, so in the right, one of our buddies, we kind of started talking about stories. And I had the idea about being. I was like, man, it's like an idea about it's like you're actually good things. Like you're kind of cheers and you're not in this situation anymore or something. And because the idea, one of the guys was sitting there, said, yeah, man, one of my buddies went and spent like 15 grand or 10%, a whole bunch of money on the ring. And he went to go give it to his girl, and she got it. Next thing he knows, she said yes, and the next thing he knows, she's like hooking up with his best friend or something. So yeah, it was a big. I was like, whoa, no way, man. And so I guess evidently he's better off without her. But one of the lines is like, I spent dropped a couple grand on a gold band. Oh man, could have been a brand new car. So that's a true story. Not necessarily for me, but it's from somebody. Once we got that,
love that.
yeah, man. Once we got that song done, I was like, man, there's something about it. It's just catchy. It's just got that cool laid back feel. It's a cool story. It's funny, and then it's got a good little twist at the very end. Because the whole thing is like you're kind of sad or whatever. You think he's sad, but he's like, no, I'm actually doing a little better now because I'm realizing what I had was dumb, and now I'm way better off. So here's.
Well, and then I was gonna say that I love that song, and then you touched on the other song I really love off the record is a sad song because it's not really a sad song; it's a fun play on words.
It's a very funny song. Like I wrote that with my buddy Adam Wood. My brother's right on that song too, and so we walked in that day, and Adam just started riffing us. He said, "Man, Lewis, I want to write a song. I feel like you're in this good place. I had this actually idea thinking about you." I said, "Because you're always so happy," and I was like, and then I was thinking about it. I wonder if it's because his girl or his wife, And he said, and so he was like, I said, well, yeah, duh. I'm not sure a happy person anyway. She makes it a lot lot better, a lot easier to be happy. And he was like, yeah, what I got this idea. It's like it's it's called sad song. It's like it's not a sad song. It's like it makes you make it hard to sing a sad song or write a sad song. And we almost tried to put right in there, but like right just didn't work. And he was like, but I think it works if they make it hard to sing a sad song. And it came out just like that. It's like just for those words. And he was like, yeah. I can't remember the last time that I cried until just the other night when I was laughing hard, laughing till it hurt like hell. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a bunch of cool. I love getting like the they call it the Nashville twist. Like play on words.
Well, it's a great song and it's fun, and the whole album I've enjoyed. Like I said, "Goodbye Beer," "Sad Song" are my favorite product of is another great one. And
Thank you.
and what can folks expect if they get to listen to it all the way through? What are you hoping folks take away and get to see from you?
I hope they're going to see something. That they're seeing. That not everybody kind of a bunch of different things that I think all of us kind of go through. I hope they can hear some things about there is the right love out there. There's a bunch of good things. There's a bunch of bad things. If they can take away something like if somebody's having a bad day, well, don't think you're alone. Other people have bad days too, but there's always that there is happiness at the other side of bad days. There's a rainbow on the other side of the rain clouds. So and it's just kind of giving people, I think, I feel like a little insight on who I am as a person. Just kind of get myself out there because there's some very personal songs with me and my life and where I'm at now, but also some of the songs like where I've been before, and so where I'm from. So it's a pretty much all around, maybe like I wouldn't necessarily a resume, but it's kind of like a little 10-song story, 3-minute versions of little different parts of my life.
It's the book on Lewis.
Yes, the book. And what I love about it most is the types stylistically wise, the music in there, because I feel like the record kind of goes like a good book, kind of up and down in waves, and you have your climax songs, you have your cool acoustic songs, the songwriter side of me. You also have your full on produced rock and roll songs, and so like my song Together, my wife likes to call that my sexy rock and roll song. So but it's like I think it takes you for a good little ride. You're not listening to one long song. I think you're kind of it digs on different emotions, and yeah, and I think it sounds cool. I think it's easy to listen to.
I agree. And how is it hard for you to like play a song that you've written about your wife? Like, are you extra worried when she hears it for the first time? How does that go? And you're like, oh yeah, by the way, I wrote that about you. Or do you wait until the end and when she liked it or not?
She generally can tell it's already written about her once I get done playing for her. I think she's honest with me. I can tell within the first like verse going into chorus whether it clicks with her, and it's just and the way she says, "Well, that's good, babe," or "Oh my goodness, that's so good," or I can tell if she really likes it or not.
I have a wife like that. She keeps me honest, and it's a good thing. And you've also, in addition to putting out the new album, you've on a couple of artists to watch lists. You also been celebrated for your high octane shows. Does the high octane shows, does that come from those rock and roll days where you're like, man, if people are coming, it's going to be a fun time. They're going to have a good time, and they're going to enjoy themselves.
It really does. I've always tried to slow down, but I can't do it. Once I get on stage, and I feel that energy, I'm like a freight train, and it just chugs right along, and I feed off the energy out there. But again, my motto's always been 2 or 2 million. You want to have the same show. It doesn't really make a difference. I only know one way to sing, and that's wide open. I get it honest from my mom, my daddy, or my daddy definitely. He's wide open. It's either all or nothing. But I really love the performing part is one of my favorite parts of it, and I played some crazy shows this year. It's been a great year so far. A couple festivals and a couple pretty big shows with my bro. And I actually got one coming up soon. I think, or either I can't remember when it is, but we have playing with Marshall Tucker Band and my brother and a few others. So, and I grew up on Marshall Tucker Band. I'm like, Can't You See is one of my favorite songs. All their stuff. I can go all day with them. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I played live the other. We did Fox and Friends the other day, and so that's in New York City. They took the country to the city, and that was a good old time. But And you know, again, that's one thing I do pride myself on. Is like I always tell people, put me in front of the people. I'm gonna sell what I got, and 'cause it's a high octane, it's rock and roll, it's a little bit of everything in between.
And there might be a little LIVIN living in there too.
There's a little bit of living in the whole thing. We've been closing. That's generally what I've been closing my sets with, and you know, it's fun to introduce them. I'm like, all right, thank you guys. I want to appreciate you, and I want to thank Matthew McConaughey for giving us this our great line, man. LIVIN.
I love it. I love it. And you know, for you, what's your favorite? Like, is there a favorite song? Not that you're supposed to have a favorite song to perform. I feel like as a kid, you can't necessarily say you got one. But is there just one that you just love more because whether it's how you get to play it with your band or how the audience reacts? Is there just one that you love maybe a little bit more than the others?
I think there would have to be. It's like the second song I ever wrote in Nashville, or actually didn't write it in Nashville. It's a song called "Messing with My Mind," and that's like the second song I ever really kind of put out. And that was the first song that kind of went to like 1 million streams right off the rip. And we didn't even really promote it real hard, but yeah, the only reason I like that one is because I really get to sing on that one. I get to let loose, and I'm letting out. If I hit it on that song, generally you feel it no matter where you're at.
And then, was there a moment when you were like, because I know you're a road warrior, you love to do shows, you've kind of done that all your life. Was there a moment when people were starting to sing back your songs to you where you're like, whoa, this is a whole different feeling and I'm definitely on the right track, and it made the shows even better to be at and perform for you?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, in the past, it's been that kind of like starting to do that in the past couple of years, especially this year when I had a few shows with my bro, and I was doing it acoustic, and my brother and his band came out on the side and watched me, and I mean, I could hear people in the crowd kind of singing, but I didn't realize it, and then I got back, my brother was like, dude, like pretty much 75% of your set, I heard people singing louder than you were in the crowd. I was like, whoa. So, yeah, it really is a crazy feeling. Like it is like I feel like no other, and especially with somebody you're like, oh, this is like a part of me, and people, they care about it enough to learn the words or sing it, and somehow maybe relate to it.
It's special, and I love to hear that. And I guess as a wrap up, obviously you got the new album that just dropped a little while ago. What else can folks expect from you the rest of 2023 and heading into 2024?
Oh, we got a few things planned. I know
that you're allowed to tell me. That you're allowed to tell me, not get yourself in trouble.
Allowed to tell you that. We'll find out, I guess. But I believe it's on my schedule to December 4th, Monday, sing the national anthem at the Jacksonville Jaguars game, and they were playing the Bengals, which is Joe Burrow, and so I got a feeling that's gonna be a pretty hyped up game, if they both play well. So that's a pretty big thing I get to do, sing the national anthem. I'm pretty nervous. I've only sang the national anthem like once on a video. I haven't done it quite yet live and on a big stadium, so pretty excited about that. Again, we got a couple other things we in mind. There's maybe some radio stuff. We may have a couple things with that, and yeah, I'm just kind of back in now. It's funny because I just put out the record, but now we're definitely pushing the record a lot more. We got a few other things left to do. We got the vinyl that's going to be pressed, and so if anybody likes the vinyl, it should be done in the next couple of weeks. And then once they do, we'll be sending them out. We've already had a bunch of pre-orders so far, and we got 3 different ones actually. We have like a black standard vinyl, and then there's like another special version for the music stores. Excuse me, and it's orange. And then I think there's a third one that's it's camouflage, like an actual camouflage printed record. So there's a couple different little tiers of them, and we're excited about it. And I actually have the test record right here behind me in my little record player up there, and I've been kind of playing it. So it sounds cool.
I love it.
It sounds really, really cool to hear your music on vinyl, and so that's coming out. We're just kind of getting ready to. Hopefully, we're going to work on trying to get a springtime tour together, and see what kind of we'll get a few things going this fall. But I think we're really going to press hard for a spring tour coming up. Just kind of fill up the calendar for next year and bring the show on the road and keep on putting out more music.
I love to hear that. Hopefully, you can swing by Kentucky and we can share a drink. And Lewis, this has been a blast, man.
Absolutely, dude. I love Kentucky. It's great, and it's been a blast. Great talking to you.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.